Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Arthur, and welcome back to the Mr. Arthur podcast show. And it's a solo show today. Woo! First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for just taking the time in watching the last 3 episodes that I put out there. I made a very, very conscious decision to create the first episode not based on my own narrative of who I am, but having my mum to open it up on behalf of me because she knows me more than anyone else was truly a blessing. It was almost like validation just from a third party, and I think that's important. The second episode was so bittersweet. This is not a coming out podcast available to watch. And it was bittersweet because I'm sharing very personal things, and it was very important that I actually put it out there. More important than I thought, because I don't want men to feel restricted or to suffer. I feel like people should be living in their truths and their authentic selves because it helps them become better people, especially people of cultural minorities. And I did say that occasionally I'll do videos based around it. However, I don't want to be caught up in recording content based on just my sexuality. That's just one dimension to a multi-dimensional mindset that I have. And I'm assuming you guys have too. One thing that you learn about me is that I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, very jovial, not afraid of smiling. And I like to connect and understand people. I think it's something that you'll see a lot in my podcasts. And I do that with my friends and family a lot. And I think it's very important to include that content in what you create. It shows validity, right? And now it's time to tell you about my professional side. I do not play when it comes to business. I am incredibly creative, yes, but I like to plan a lot. I do not play about. I really don't, especially when it comes to strategy and process. And I'm very solutions orientated. And I'd like to think I'm very in tune with my communication skills. And although I like to help people, I love helping people. Do not get it twisted. When it comes to helping people, I've learned throughout my career, I refuse to help individuals that won't help themselves. It's something that I stand firmly by. So if you're not willing to help yourself, I cannot help you. As we continue. So in this episode, if I told you 5 years ago that I'd be learning about equitable based businesses in the UK, structuring investment and designing business models that actually give people ownership, I don't think people would believe me, especially the fact that I came from a fashion background. But to tell the truth, even I wouldn't flipping believe me. But that was back then. And I was actually in the middle, back in my journey, I felt like I was in a mess. There were ideas that didn't scale, ventures that just didn't take off the way that I wanted them to. A lot of setbacks that made me question everything. Like I thought that I was moving backwards at one point, but I wasn't. I was actually being rerouted. And this episode is for anyone who feels like like they've kind of hit a wall, because trust me, sometimes the detour isn't a delay. It's just the only way to your destination. You get me? We're always going to face delays. So welcome to the fourth episode of the Mr. Arthur podcast, My Career Detours. So the moment that felt like setbacks actually weren't setbacks. We're always told that success should look like a straight line, right? You study, you get a job, you level up, you build wealth. But let me just tell you something now. Let me tell you something from experience. It's a complete lie. It's actually utter bullshit. And I'm going to break it down into detours. So I'm going to start off with detour number one, the first business idea that just did not scale. I've always been a builder and a creator and an entrepreneur at heart. And I created a company in my younger days called Vertico, which was an IT company, a little IT business at 18. And I started with ideas that I believed would work because naturally that's what you do. You don't do market research. And I quickly realized that it's not just about having a good idea. It's about the right timing, the right execution, the right ecosystem. And instead of seeing those early as just failures or losses, I started to study them. And I'm a why person. I'm always going to ask why. And especially to myself, like what went wrong and what didn't I connect with, or what was I missing? And this was at a very early age. And what I learned became the foundations of what I'm building now. These are the types of things that you should start asking yourself. And then I move on to detour two. Thinking small before thinking big, big mistake. Always think big, guys. At first, I focused on just making money. That's all we focus on, innit? Right, we're just making money. Then I realized that money follows impact. And that was one of the things that I learned by just observing my grandparents and the way that they did business. Instead of just trying to make something profitable, I started thinking, how do I create something that actually moves the culture forward? Because anything that I do marketing wise is based around my experiences at a pub. How do I make sure that when I win, my community wins too? And these are the constant questions I started to ask myself. And that's when the vision expanded. And it wasn't just about business, it was about building a movement. And then my detour free, realizing that I needed ownership, not just revenue. And this is something that I know that a lot of people are starting to go into. The biggest shift that happened for me was when I understood the difference between income and equity. I didn't just want to make money anymore. I wanted to build on something that would hold value, that would appreciate, and that would last. And I didn't think that I was in that mind space, especially as a creative entrepreneur back then, to even be thinking in those realms. And that's when I started to think about property investment and community ownership and also the long game. And like all of these ideas just started to flush in. And here's the kicker. Had I succeeded too early in the first few ventures that I did, I might have built something a little bit too small. And that is something that I learned about that. And before I start Act Two, I just want to say that every decision you make dictates the path you take. I studied computer programming and software development, and I did neurology and artificial intelligence as a degree. Then I went straight into fashion. That doesn't make sense, does it? Your journey is not supposed to make sense to anybody else but yourself. And when your desires like kind of come out and you need to express it in certain ways, you've got to lead with your desires. And that's what I did at the early part of my career. I started to sketch. I had no experience whatsoever in fashion, but I loved to draw, only to be detoured in being on an international show, well, a national local show, and doing a competition which I won, and having my clothes on Oxford Street in London being sold. That is crazy, knowing that I didn't have any form of experience, no form of fashion knowledge, and I won the competition, bearing in mind I was against people that were proper experienced within the game, and I was not. So it's very important that you embrace these different journeys, these different routes that you take. I've had an opportunity come up, which I'm a little bit reluctant about. And I'm very much a person that likes to explore different opportunities that present themselves, but it's very important that you're aware of what opportunities are for you and opportunities that aren't for you as well. I've worn so many different hats. I have been a bar person, I have been a school technician, I have been a lecturer, I have been a teacher, I have been a fashion designer, I have been a business owner. I've been so many different things, and it's kind of created my own persona, my own personality, and my own like lane of where I want to go and take things. All of these learnings have put me in a space where I feel like I know what I'm doing now. And I think it's very important that you don't just go in one direction. You've got to go all around the gaff to get to where you need to get to. The idea is there, but it just needs inspiration in different areas for you to kind of define it and make it into something, actually make it into something. And I hope that I'm making sense with it before I go into Act Two. But it's very important that you explore all options so you understand what you like and what you don't like. Back to Act Two. Act Two, the hidden power of setbacks and why they're actually cheat codes. Now, let's talk about what all this actually means for you. And lesson one is every failure is just a data point. The problem is that most people quit before they collect enough data, straight up. And I've been known to do that as well. We always assume, but we don't have proper data to actually support our cases and understanding who our demographic actually is. So I started seeing setbacks as research, and free lessons to show me what not to do the next time. So I always collect data because I think it's very important. If you struggle in the middle of doing something like that, just flip the script. What is this situation teaching me, and how is this actually making me better? And that is something that I had to like really go into. Lesson two, sometimes you've just got to go back in order to go forward. And there's been times when I felt like I was repeating steps, but in reality, I was actually sharpening my execution. The reason that some of my companies are structured the way that they are today is because I had to fail forward before I could build it right, if that makes any sense. And then I've got lesson three. You can't skip the pivot. And that's where the real growth actually happens. The biggest opportunities that have ever came out of my career have been from unexpected pivots. And these unexpected pivots, I'll give you a perfect example as well, is the fact that after I did my store, the Stephen Arthur store, I think I was burnt out. I was very burnt out. I'm not thinking, I definitely was. I just lost the passion for being within the fashion industry. I literally did. But I pivoted into a totally different industry that I knew nothing of. And that helped me a lot because there were certain skill sets that I adopted working at the bar, working as a teacher, working as an IT technician, that enabled me to get into a totally different industry and experience something in a different way. And it was quite refreshing. That was a very good detour for me, is after that big high of opening up stores and having places, like having different, doing like fashion weeks and all that kind of stuff. It was really nice to do something completely different that was not fashion related. And it actually boosted my ideas and my creativity and also my logic towards certain things. Yeah. Act three. Act three, the final act, and that's the moment when everything all clicked. It was the oh shit moment. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the exact moment where I realized that everything that I thought was a setback was actually a positioning for me for something bigger. And it really hit me when I actually started working for a company. So bearing in mind, I am taking a break from entrepreneurship and I'm starting to work for somebody else. And in order for you to go backwards, sometimes you going backwards is a step going forward. And me understanding the true value of ownership, the true value of responsibility, managing operations, understanding your target client from the most meta and granular stage was very important in this business. So it unlocked a new way of thinking, a new way of structuring and planning things, which I never got as an entrepreneur because everything was everywhere for me. I was a very messy creative a few years back. So the fact that I was in a company that kind of balanced my logic and my business acumen, but also as balanced my creativity, was a very important thing to take back from it. My final takeaways is that how to use your own detour is very important and it's a very big advantage. And if you're in the middle of what feels like a career stall, a setback, or a failed pivot, let me just break it down for you right now that you need to stop complaining about the process and just start studying it instead. You need to understand the whys. And every obstacle is actually teaching you something, but you need to understand what the lesson is. Number two, look back at your failures and find out if you have any patterns. You've got to look at patterns. If you keep ending up in similar situations, it's not bad luck. It's a sign. It's a clear sign that you need to do something different. Number three, play the long game. Most people actually quit too soon. And the long game doesn't need to entail you to be in the same business that you're in or the same career or profession. And then number four is trust that you're being prepared for something bigger. Just trust the process. If you believe in it, you'll be bigger. The version of you that really wins isn't the version of you right now. And I think that's another thing that I've taken from it. Hopefully this whole detour segment made sense. If you're interested in putting your 2 cents in, please comment, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It was really nice speaking to you guys. I'm definitely going to be putting out more content, and it will be often, sometimes it's going to be content with just me and you guys, or it might be content where it's me and family, aka my mom, or my friends as well. So I just want to let you guys know that I want to take you guys on a journey. I want to take you guys on a journey where you're able to understand my wins, but also my failures as well. And I want to give you really good content, which is actually genuine, and it's not just based around trying to get clicks or likes. That's not the case. I like to think that my friends and family are just naturally funny. So without a doubt, I'm not going to push that at all. That's not what I want to push. I actually want to build a community, and this is the best way that I can think of doing it at the moment. If you've got any suggestions on how I could build that, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you for listening to me babble on, and have a wonderful day. Take care.